Hello, and welcome to the Modern Romantic Podcast, where we celebrate and inspire romanticism through passionate people doing incredible things. Hi, I'm the self help section at your favorite bookstore, Trey, and I'm joined by literary classics, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Thank you. I am literary classics.
When I
I
was
don't know
thinking,
what that means, but I'll take it.
well, I was thinking because every time I talk to you, we talk about like your love of English culture, tapestries, your love of fantasy, and that sort of thing. And so for me, that like equated to the literary classics for things, especially
Hmm.
like Tolkien and oh, I'm gonna get this wrong. Lewis, who wrote the
Oh,
Chronicles of
C.S.
Narnia.
Lewis. I do
Thank
like
you.
C.S. Lewis. Yeah, and like Byron and Keats and all the and pre-Raphaelite art and yeah, I'm into all that. You're
Yeah.
right.
So
I'll take
literary
it.
classics.
I am the Lady of Shalott.
So you can probably tell by the level of pun what kind of guest we will have today, which I'm so excited to have. Emily, would you do us the honor introduce our fantastic guest today?
I would. I'm very excited to introduce Poppy Kuroki, who is here with her first, the book one to the Ancestor Memories, Gate to Kagoshima. And we're so excited to talk to you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, for our listening audience, I just want to make one thing clear. You are currently in Japan right now, correct?
Yes, as you can see, it is morning.
It is.
It is.
If I was in the UK, it would be 2 a.m. and I would be, asleep. Or, I might have gotten up. I might have gotten up for this, maybe.
Are you a
Depending on how
morning
nicely you asked.
person?
I am a morning person, yes.
Okay. That's helpful then. We don't feel like we've tortured you too much then.
Absolutely not. No.
And you've been in Japan since 2014, right?
10 years total now, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
And
I
you
was
have
here for 1 year in Tokyo for study abroad in 2012. And then a year and a half in Nagano, and then I went home briefly and then came back again. That was, I think, 2016. Yes.
Okay.
So 10 years or 11 years total now, which is insane. It's such a long time.
And now you have a family there with you.
Yes. Little boy, 3 years old.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
He's awesome.
And it sounds like you have a kind of a romantic your profile said that you live by the sea, and I just thought that sounds so awesome.
Yes, the beach is about a kilometer away from here. It's
Okay.
nice to go there in the summertime. And in the winter, they have, in Japan, they have Christmas illuminations. So it's sort of like lots and lots of Christmas lights, but for public display. But they have them on till the end of February here so that people will still visit in winter. So every time someone comes to visit, I'm like, let's go see the lights. It's the only thing to do here in wintertime. But it's always nice, always dazzling.
Well, see, that's why I'm leaving the Christmas stuff up until till the end of February, because I'm celebrating that. Right, Trey?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, Emily.
I choose to believe that.
I love it. We're just celebrating.
See, if we had a 12-foot skeleton outside of our house as like a prop for Halloween, but we wound up being able to work it into our Christmas decorations and throw some lights on it and illuminate it a lot more. But then after Christmas with spooky light up skeleton, we didn't quite know how to transition him.
A Valentine skeleton.
How? Okay,
I
so
will love you to the grave.
Oh, that's so perfect. You could put a heart in it.
Yeah.
oh, oh my gosh. Okay, that could have worked.
Did you take
Wow.
it down already?
Next year.
Yeah, we did. I have Skelly sitting in his box right next to me right now.
Well, it's not too late. It's not
It
even
is-
February yet.
Got 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. That is true. I am going to have to talk to the owner of Skelly, which is Seth, and he's currently upstairs. And I do believe he's listening. So, Seth, if you want to put back up Skelly, we have some fantastic ideas now.
That's
There you
right.
go. Now he's relevant from October till February.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
We'll just brainstorm some other ideas for the rest of the year.
Beach skeleton.
We'll
Never
put
take
a,
him down. He
no,
lives there forever now.
we'll do.
Well, lives is a strong word. He's a skeleton. He dwells there forever now.
Honestly, like we get a lot of compliments on it from our neighbors. We are rather bold when it comes to our sports and so forth, so everyone has
We can't hear you, Trey. Can you start that whole?
Yeah,
There we go.
testing.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got really muffled suddenly.
No idea. I probably need to check my cords at some point.
We're
Um,
good.
but I was just saying that our neighbors really love when we put up the skeleton. They kind of look forward to it every year. We've been doing it now 2 years, so it's become a tradition.
Well, you owe it to them to keep
I
him
like
up all
this.
year.
I like this.
But would it be as special if he was up all year? But maybe they could be looking forward to the next theme. Like he could have a birthday hat on when you have a birthday in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Possibilities are endless for Skelly.
Keep the neighbors guessing and entertained.
Yes. Okay. Well, since Seth and I share a birthday, that'll make the birthday thing very easy.
Oh,
Did I
wow.
know this?
Yeah, we're born 4 years apart on the same day.
Maybe I just forgot. I'm sorry.
No, that's all good.
Is your
We got
birthday in like June or something? Because that's perfect. Because when is your birthday?
It happens to be.
Yeah. How did you know that?
June?
Yeah.
I'm psychic. It was a total guess. There you go. It's perfect. Now he has to stay there for your birthday now, and then it's too late to take him down for Halloween. Halloween's around the corner by the time
Right.
your birthday's over.
Who wants to do all that work? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I just got to make him a party hat for the birthday, and I do
But it has
owe
to
him
be
so
a
much.
giant birthday hat
Oh
for
yeah.
his big 12-foot head. Not his 12-foot head, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually put out a 12-foot head in our front yard. It's great.
It's just a big skull.
Wait, does the head come off?
It does.
That gives me more ideas.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we could spend our time talking about their 12-foot skeleton, which I would love. But so Poppy, for our audience, so you were born in Scotland, raised in England, moved to Japan.
Yes.
I'm curious why the love of Japan so much. What really drew you to their culture?
Well, I was 13 years old and we went to Disney, in Florida.
Mhm.
And, they have the different countries' themes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Epcot.
such a
Yeah.
weird answer, but like we went to, Epcot, yes. And we went to the Japan section, and for some reason I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I think it was the aesthetics almost, like the architecture stuff. And I just thought, this is so cool. I'd never been there before. And I think I got home and I said to my mum, I think I'd like to learn Japanese. And I remember my dad, I never let him forget this. I remember my dad saying to me, you'll be into something else by next week. You're 13 years old. And I was just like, okay, Dad. And then my mum bought me like a self-study language set from eBay. That's how long ago it was. And I learned some by myself and got really into it. And then always said I wanted to go, but like it was expensive, right, to visit there. So it was it was a personal goal of mine. And then I thought, okay, the easiest way to do this is to go to university and do a year abroad. So as soon as my student loan came in, I bought a ticket and I had some pen pals there and then loved it and then came back and then did the year in Tokyo and thought, I really want to move back. So after graduation, I just went back.
That's incredible.
So-
I find that interesting too that you had this dream and then you got some pen pals there and then you actually went after years of wanting to. How was that? Was there like an expectation there must have been expectation that was exceeded. But what did you feel going over there, and was it very different than you imagined?
I'm trying to remember because it wasn't like I wasn't even there to see anything in particular. I just know I wanted to be there. It was the architecture I really like temples and shrines and stuff. There was always this kind of sense of romance about them, and I think that's what eventually inspired Gate to Kagoshima. And I just asked my pen pals to take me to where they thought was cool in Tokyo. So they guided me around, which was really nice.
Yeah.
And I was quite open-minded about it. But I do remember I hadn't done that much research on particular places because I went to Tokyo Station. And anyone who's been to Tokyo Station can tell you it's just a, like, city office neighborhood. There's nothing
Okay.
there except city. But I was still enjoying it. I was walking around, and it was fun because I also had a friend in university from Osaka. So he said, "Oh, you come stay with us," which is really sweet of him. And his mum took me to Kyoto for the day, and it was January in 2012, so there was nobody there, and it was super sweet of her to do that. And I just really liked being there, and thought, "Oh, this is where I want to be," and made it happen.
That's relatable. I felt that when
Yeah,
I went to London and when I went to Edinburgh, and
I love
I
it.
saw the architecture. Like I can see and touch the stone with my own hand, and
Right, you understand what I mean then, because it's so
mm-hmm.
hard to explain. People are like, "Oh, you must love anime," and I'm like, "I wish I did love anime because the language would really help," but I
Oh, sure.
no strong feelings either way. Um, actually, one thing I'm still embarrassed about is I went to my friend's house. Right, I'd never met his mum before, and she welcomed me in. I said, "Oh, you can stay here. Here's a little room for you and everything." I was like, "Thank you," and she made this delicious dinner, and I said, "Oh, thank you. It's so nice." It took me years to realize how much effort she had put into that dinner. It wasn't a typical Japanese meal, which I thought it was. No, it was crab's legs and blowfish and
Oh.
expensive sushi that she probably spent literally hundreds of pounds on. And here's me just like, "Oh, thank you, it's very nice." If I'd known, and I'm just like, I don't even have his contact details anymore. I just want to be like, "Tell your mother I'm so grateful and so sorry." That just probably seems so ungrateful.
Oh,
But yeah,
wow.
so that's the one time I've had blowfish. It was very nice.
She
And crab's
had
legs. Crab's legs
she
this big. It's crazy.
it was like a monumental meal for her to
It
prepare
was, I
then, and
know, and like 18-year-old me had no idea. Because no one told me. Even my friend didn't tell me. It's such a Japanese
wow.
thing, you know.
How is you said blowfish is good. I'm sorry, Trey. I
I
heard
liked it.
you.
I enjoyed it. It was
Okay.
nice. Yes. But if I'd known what it was, like they told me it was fugu blowfish, but I was just like, "Oh, okay, this is what Japanese people eat." Never even seen it since then. So she was probably like, "Oh, we have a visitor coming. I have to pull out all the stops," and she did, and I just didn't.
Wow.
Went over my head completely. So I still feel bad about that, like 13 years later. But what can you do?
Well, if he happens to be listening,
Can you
we
imagine?
we will share your contact information with Poppy, and please.
Tell her I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so cool. I think it's like one of those you kind of forget about some of those cultural difference things, or like to kind of give somebody a clue into that. Um, there are so many stories that I've heard, like on TikTok or Instagram, of people going to foreign countries and what one person walks into it with their current knowledge, and then they do something that in the other culture is just wild. And so it's this kind of meeting of the minds of things. So I can definitely see that. Having lived there now for about 10 years, what are some cultural differences that you've seen between growing up in the UK and now living in Japan?
um, so I don't see them as obvious until I have family and friends come over, and
Hmm.
I'm on the other side now. Like, don't do that. What are you doing? Like, I think I took this family, this German family. I did tour guiding very briefly. This German family to uh, okonomiyaki restaurant, like pancake restaurant. Not
Hmm.
pancake, but like maybe you know what okonomiyaki is. It's like a savory pancake made on a grill,
Mhm.
but it's a traditional style one. So you know, take your shoes off at the entrance, go in, sit
Oh,
down,
yeah.
and the teenage boy like put his foot on. So there's the entrance area, and then you step up onto the main area, and there's like strictly no shoes from then on.
Oh.
But he put his boot on to like tie his laces, and I was like, "Get your foot down! Like you may be my client." I think I actually pushed his foot off. I was like, sir, stop!" But like to a Western person, you don't even think about it. I
No.
probably did the same
Hmm.
thing when I was 18, right? But yeah, and just like being loud on the train. I think my dad and my brother like got into a mini argument on the train, and I was like, "Shh, shh, shh, please be quiet, please be quiet. I will leave. I will leave you on this subway if you don't shush." Um, but I try not to be too uptight about it either. Like, "Oh, well, I've been here for 10 years and I'm not being like that either." But it's kind of stuck in between, almost in between cultures now because I've been here for a long time.
Sure.
But obviously, I'm still British. So, but lots of subtle things as well. If I think of any more, I'll let you know.
Do you go back to visit?
Yes, I took my son. I've taken my son twice. Once when because he was born during COVID, so nobody was allowed in the
Oh.
country.
Yeah.
So my family didn't meet him until he was about 8 months old.
Okay.
And I also went last summer for the launch of Gate to Kagoshima, and it was so fun. And the weather was so nice, and everyone could see my son Jack, and it was a great trip.
Very nice.
Yes.
You've been writing for quite a while, though. This is not your first book. It is just first in this series. So
Yes.
tell us about how this started, though. You've been writing since when?
Professionally or just for fun?
Both.
Either one. Yeah, sorry, Trey.
I'm sure most authors say they've been writing since they were a kid, and I was that kid in primary school in year 6 with making a book out of folding paper and writing stories. I think I always wanted to be an author, but I think my mum was really supportive of that as well. She always encouraged me to write stuff. I think once I scribbled a whole story down on A4 paper and she typed it up on our new computer for me. And then I didn't write for a long time, and then I got really into Japanese and studying to go to university. And then, what year would that have been? 2016, 17? I read a book by Rebecca Ross, who's my favorite author, and she kind of got me into writing again. And I was doing ghostwriting for a while, which was really good for discipline and writing thousands of words a day and keeping to deadlines and stuff, and also being flexible. It was really, really good practice and a side income. And then I started writing my own stuff again. And Gate to Kagoshima was inspired by Outlander a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I love Outlander because obviously I'm Scottish by birth and blood. And I thought, a story with time travel and a samurai would be fun. And it kind of went from there. It's not super similar to Outlander, but definitely the, I guess, premise is very similar. And people have described it as like Outlander in Japan.
I've seen those graphics where it's like, oh, do you miss Outlander? Or, oh, are you a
that's
fan of
justified
Outlander?
completely.
But yeah, then you should read this too.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
use
your
it as a
book.
comp a lot.
When we were doing research, it's inspired by, or you did a lot of research into the samurai culture and kind of that tail end of them, uh, that end of the culture into Japan. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you found and kind of what research you've done for the book?
I wanted a story with between a Scottish woman and a samurai, but they had the long isolation period where no foreigners were allowed in and no Japanese were allowed out. Like, well, I can't do it in that because she would have been killed as soon as she appeared in the country. And then I got into the Satsuma Rebellion, which was the 1877 conflict, and I started researching. I thought, this is actually really fits really well into the story I want to tell. So I visited Kagoshima and did a whole tour on that, the places and the people and the events that unfolded. And after that, I wrote it, and it came together nicely. And with some encouragement, I thought, I'll what's the word, query this one and see where it goes. And I met my agent soon after, and everything's been absolutely insane since then.
That's so awesome!
Thank you.
Congratulations!
Well, I
Yeah.
think I started querying in January. I met her in March, so it was really quick.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'd queried years before, which had never come to anything. So I knew the process already. So I did have a bit of a head start, I think, with that. But yeah, it was really, really special time. I'll never forget it. Meeting her, and so good.
Did you just sort of run into her, or was it a planned meeting?
Yeah, it was like just the usual querying process.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, I have had the yearbook, the yearbook that comes out every year with the publishers and stuff. And I was using that. I was also using Query Tracker. So I thought the typical route you take for querying. And I remember staying up late to do their. Usually the querying process is pretty much the same for everyone, but every now and then they'll have slightly different requirements. So it was like, tell us all about your book in 200 words or fewer. And it was like, it's hard. 200 words is like 2 sentences, right? And I did all that and I went to bed. I think she got back to me a day later. And I was bouncing off the walls. Okay, don't get too excited. And then 10 agonizing days later, after requesting the full manuscript, she asked me for a meeting, and it was just unreal. I still don't believe any of this is real, by the way.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah,
You should hang
it's
on
great.
to this feeling as long as you can.
No, it's amazing. Imposter syndrome is crazy though.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I believe that.
Maybe you understand, yeah.
Oh yeah, we've definitely gone through plenty of that ourselves.
Sometimes still do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Side effects of being a recovering perfectionist.
Ah, yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Understand.
When
That
you can
is
look. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
When you can look back and see that a lot of the things that you once looked forward to become like your everyday, then it gets better.
Yes, I do try to remind myself when I'm a bit stressed out. I'm like, okay, go back to 12-year-old me when I was writing about like a girl with fire powers who lived on the moon, and like how badly back then and since then I'd wanted to see my book in Waterstones and Barnes and Noble, and now it's actually happening. Go tell your 12-year-old self that it's gonna happen. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel good.
Mm-hmm. And you have a great picture on your Instagram of you in a bookshop with your like this
Oh yeah,
for your book.
that was amazing. I love that day. That's one of my favorite days ever because I was going to Edinburgh and Glasgow and going to all the Waterstones, and that
Mm-hmm.
particular shop, she'd put it in the window, and also she'd put it right like that display is about 4 feet from the entrance. It's the
That's
first thing you see when you
amazing.
walk in, and I'm like, "Thank you," and she goes, "Oh yeah, I read it. It's awesome. I want everyone to read it." And I'm just like, "I love you. Let's get married." She's like,
Let's get married.
like, what do you mean you read it? What do you mean you liked it? Is this real? So that was an amazing time, and that's a great photo she took. Yes, I'm glad you like it too. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Incredible. We've talked about like inspiration that you've had for the book, and then you've mentioned really enjoying Outlander. But I also know that you love music and you also like video games.
Some of the best stories are from video games, and I will die on that hill. I have
Yes.
sobbed at video game stories, right? I mean, I'm sure you, yeah, I think you understand. You like games too.
We
Hmm.
both do. Yeah.
Yes, both of you like, ah, yes. Well, how about like, I mean, I mean, are there any games come to mind when I mention games having a great story?
Baldur's Gate.
Of course, it goes without saying. I love Asterion. He's so toxic, and I just love him. As soon as I met him, I
Elson.
was like, "Can you romance him? Can you romance him? Can you romance the sexy vampire?" Yes, you can. Okay, let's go. No, but my biggest obsession, who I still love, is Alistair from Dragon Age Origins. I actually was actually in love with him. I would go to school and I would think about him all day. I want to go home and talk to Alistair.
Oh.
Aww.
It was problematic, probably looking back, but I started a game as an elf, and then I restarted my game as a human so I can marry him at the end. That's how obsessed I was.
Oh.
Yeah,
Aww.
I was just like, well, you can marry him. What? Because that's the first time I'd encountered romancing
Sure.
in
Mhm.
games because I hadn't played Mass Effect. I think I missed out on Mass Effect at that time,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and the whole concept of actually being able to romance a fictional character was completely yes. Dragon Age Origins was the best. I agree. Um, yes, but I remember like Shadow of the Colossus. Did you play that one?
No, but I watched
Mm-mm.
playthroughs of it.
There's a part where like your horse falls, and I burst into tears. And my brother's like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "Yes, video games. Yes, they're up there with books and movies.
Yes.
Perfectly valid media for fantastic storytelling." Oh, I sometimes get really emotional at any storytelling. We're watching a movie, even a Disney movie. We're watching lots of Disney movies at the moment, and I'm just like, oh, see how in that first scene they introduce the character's personality by making him do ABC. Oh, great storytelling. I'm like welling up. He's like, "Are you crying? It's Little Mermaid." I'm like, "Yeah, it's so good." I just really passionate about good storytelling, and I want to be up there one day. I feel like I'm down here right now, but I'm just gonna get better, and I want to be way up there, making people cry.
Yes.
uh,
I love it.
Not just sad tears, but
no, like happy tears. There's um like Seth and I were having a conversation when watching Moulin Rouge. Like I love that movie for the emotional reasons, and it's such a beautiful way of telling a story. It's crazy, it's zany, but it's got such a good core to it that by the end of the movie, I am so satisfied with crying at the end of it, not out of sadness, but of all of the beauty that has come before
yes, yes, exactly. I think if a film makes you cry for any reason, it's up there. It's top tier for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
I've
has
book
some
or
power.
anything, of course. Oh, we've got a couple of comments about games here.
Yeah.
Rip Aggro. Yes, Aggro was the name of the horse. She was beautiful. I never managed to unlock the white horse. You had to do all the monsters in hard mode. Getting on a bit of a tangent here, but I was always sad I never got to unlock white aggro. Last of Us. Yes, I didn't. I only played a little bit of that.
I hear it's good, but I haven't played that one.
Yes. Was the TV show as good? I haven't seen the TV show either.
I haven't seen that either.
The TV show will wreck you.
Oh yeah.
So bring tissues. Spoiler alert: bring tissues.
Bring a bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And a blanket. And tissues.
Yes.
Oh.
And then also, if you have like a stuffed animal that you can just hold on to, because you're gonna need a cuddle buddy.
Nice.
Anyway.
Excellent.
So
what were we talking about before with the pronunciation? Did you want to go back to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the difference between Japanese and English and how we have accents on our words and we pronounce things differently with emphasis.
I've actually seen an ad. I think it's an old ad, but it was on YouTube, and it's pretty bad, but it was really funny as well. They had a Japanese girl, but she was wearing a blonde wig and a fake nose, so she was like a white girl, and she was talking with an American accent or a Western accent, and she was putting loads of stress into the words that didn't need it.
Oh,
that was her Western accent. Do you know what I mean? So instead of saying like konnichiwa, she'd be like konnichiwa, like really, desu ne. Like I think that's that image of a Western accent. Like they just add the stress in,
or fee-tunes.
Yeah, exactly. Like actually, I think so. They use a lot of English words in their language, right? Like banana is banana, and like salad is salada and stuff like that. So when you're teaching little kids, you're like, okay, what's this? And they're like, banana. You're like, okay, good, it's banana. And you have to really exaggerate the stress. So they're like, okay, banana. And then you show them salad and they go, salada. So like, well, banana is banana, so salad must be salada. And you have to be like, good try, but no.
You would be partially correct in Spanish.
Yes. But you have to do sometimes they do whole lessons on stress because it's so foreign to them, it's totally new to them. So they have to do advanced kind of lessons on, okay, you have the good vocabulary, you have the grammar, now let's concentrate on, making sure you have the stress in the right places. Like, even countries, they'll say like Canada.
Oh, sure.
Or Japan. And you have to be like, I remember writing the names on the whiteboard and then putting like a small circle and then a large circle for the stress. It's so interesting.
That is really interesting. And you had said before the show started, like when it comes to learning the stress and then removing that stress when going from English to Japanese, it's just really like you said, listening to people and then just practicing and kind of mimicking that. Do you have any other tips for people that are trying to learn Japanese?
Well, I said before, like just forget everything you know about other languages.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see a new word, just try and remember the rule of thumb that every letter has the same length and the same stress. So if you see a new word, I'm trying to think of a word with like three or four syllables in it. Like I don't know, TV is terebi, but you wouldn't say like terebi or terebi. You'd say like terebi. Just try and remember that. But also, like I said, just listen to people and listen to them. Because obviously when you asked before about emphasis, if they're getting excited or something, like sugoi is cool or wow. And something like sugoi. And it's like, I guess they're kind of stressing it, but it's so hard to explain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not saying sugoi, but they're saying like sugoi or whatever. Or yabai or whatever. Like,
I think that's, yeah, I was thinking about that. Like when you're excited and you want to have an exclamation because you're bursting with energy of some kind, and you say here, of course, cool only has one syllable here.
Amazing.
Amazing.
The word amazing.
Yeah, because you'd be like, amazing, if you're
Yes, but the stress would
enunciating.
never change, would it? The rhythm of the word would never change. We'd never say, that's amazing. Like, we'd never do
You're
that.
right.
Right? So maybe it's a similar thing. Like, the rule of the stress stays the same in the word, but they could kind of say it louder or something. But yeah, you would, exactly, like in English, we'd say, that's amazing, and like really emphasize the middle one. But that's the one we always emphasize, if that makes sense.
Right. That's true. We just make it bigger.
Yes, exactly.
Fascinating. This really makes me want to learn Japanese, though.
I need to learn. I do study harder as well. So my reading is still like an 8-year-old. Unfortunately.
We're just learning Chinese with Red Note, too. Now we have to switch.
Oh, Chinese. I bet that's hard.
It's what I saw. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, but yes, lots of. But English is still, to me, more complicated. Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree, Trey?
Agreed, 100%.
We have 10,000 words for the same thing.
And people are like, why is it spelled this way? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't make the rules. I wish it wasn't. I'm so sorry.
Right, we're just sorry.
Like, why is one WON? I'm like, I will consult with God. I'll get back to you.
I think that's one of the best answers. I think
the best.
Right, hold on, let me just talk to Jesus. I'll be back. Like, I'm on speed dial.
Let's get the right answer.
like cackle over here. I think that beats my answer of some dead white guy said it, so therefore it must be.
Oh,
that
yeah.
way.
Honestly,
I'm going to use all of those.
Probably came from one of the many languages. Maybe the chat knows. Red versus read, lead versus lead. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're just a conglomeration of too many different languages, and we beg and borrow and steal from all of them.
That's it.
It's really not fair to anyone.
Well, we were watching Squid Game 2 the other day, and I'm like, Korean, it doesn't sound exactly like Japanese, but it sounds more like Japanese than like Chinese does, in my opinion. And Japan, the current Japanese people, the Japanese people we know now are actually from Koreans and Chinese if you go back far enough, right?
Oh.
So they brought Chinese with them, like the writing system, but I think a lot of the spoken was probably bits of Korean, bits of the is Aboriginal the right word? The Ainu people who lived here before.
Oh, okay.
So it's really, I love languages and how they evolve and how we make new languages.
It is fascinating.
You will know from studying Chinese, it's all very up and down with all the tones. Whereas Japanese doesn't have that.
Is your book in English and Japanese then?
Not Japanese yet. We're still looking for a Japanese publisher.
Okay.
But it is going to be published in, we've sold rights to Portuguese, Italian, Turkish, Russian. So far.
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
That's great.
I think the Italian version's out quite soon. I'll have to double check, but I think it's this year. So that'll be fun. But not Japanese yet, because that's the first thing my friends ask me. Is it out in Japanese? And I'm like, I wish it was.
Right.
I'll let you know as soon as. Yes, we are trying to find a Japanese publisher right now. Hopefully.
Do you get to hear from fans all over that have read it then from different countries?
Yeah, they'll post on Instagram usually. That's my favorite social, and they'll tag me. And it's always nice to see a nice review. It's like, oh, this is what it's all worth it for reviews like this, you know. Yeah, it's always fun. And I always make sure I say thank you for reading it as well.
That's wonderful.
And I'm like, out of all the books you saw in the shop, you picked mine up? And then all the books on your shelf, you've read it? Mine? Why? Still can't believe it. I don't think I ever will. I think I could have 10 books out and still be like, I'm not a real author yet. But we'll see.
I see that, but also I think at some point it's just going to become part of your daily life, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, and you get to interact with people about the 10th book that you've written, and then you're also going to be as excited about the 20th book that you've written, and so I truly think that imposter syndrome is going to go away, but the love and the excitement that someone is reading a story that came out of your brain and onto the page, that is going to be what you're going to be as excited about.
Yes, I do think that will be the case, that I will always be happy about it. I'll never be like, oh, of course they're reading it. Like, no, I always want to be excited every single time.
I am really curious because your book includes maps, family trees, character lists, timelines, glossary of terms.
Mm.
Um, that for me is really immersive from just any kind of literary standpoint, and I've really only seen that happen in like one other book. So, like for you, what was that decision to include those types of things?
All credit for that goes completely to the publisher. The map,
Oh.
One World, they said, "Do you have a map of?" Because obviously, like fantasy books have maps a lot of the time, don't they?
That's true.
And I was
Mhm.
like, "Can they put a map?" And then I thought, "Oh wait, I've seen a map when I was in Kagoshima of the route that the samurai army took, because
Mhm.
they go up to Kumamoto, and then they go back, and they end up back where they started. So I found that on a free, a Wikipedia free photos site,
Mhm.
and that's the map you see at the beginning of it. But yeah, the glossary and everything was completely the publishers, that they take credit for all that. They asked me to do that, and it was really fun to do as well, especially the history timeline. It's fun to dive back into that.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that fans love, when they want to dive into a story, and it makes it even more immersive to have those tools to be able to feel like you're in it. So I think those are great additions.
Thank you. Glad they're I'm glad they're fun.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
because I'm sorry.
no,
Hold
go.
hold that thought, Trey.
Okay.
My favorite fantasy fiction maps. Sorry, Trey.
Yes, a lot of people have said that they love maps. Yeah, which is really
Yes,
cool.
I have literally this blanket next to me is
Oh,
Middle Earth.
what?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
coolest thing I've ever seen. That's
So, yeah,
amazing.
I love the maps of all of the places that my brain has been in books. So that's a solid decision. I think I feel like there's definitely, we're out here, the map lovers.
And you
The
can go there if people really, really enjoy it and they go to Japan and they think, "Oh, I want to go to
Oh, right.
Kagoshima." They can sort of compare the map to where they're going. Be like, "Oh, this is where this happened." That'd be really fun. I don't know if people are going to do that. I hope so.
Yeah, one day they'll have the Gate to Kagoshima tour, and they can go on the tour that's the Fans of Poppy tour.
Yes.
It'll be the same tour that I went on, I think, because it describes the exact that timeline, So yes, I did
Totally.
want that. Hopefully, I mean, Kagoshima is not like an unpopular place by any means, but it'd be nice if more people go there um, for the holidays. It's a lovely place. Kyushu's lovely, underrated part of Japan, and there's an active volcano there. Like,
Oh.
There's an active volcano there?
yeah, like I have a friend who lives there who will put photos like, "Oh, the mountain's erupting today. There's like smoke coming out of it." Actually, fun fact: 1877, where the book takes place,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it's called Sakura Jima, and Jima means island. And now it's not an island anymore because sometime, gosh, was it like 1910 ish? I might be wrong on that, but some point after 1877 and before now, the volcano erupted and made a peninsula. It's a peninsula now, not an
Oh.
island. So people will ask, why is it called Jima when it's not an island? It's like, well, it used to be. At that time, it was an island, so I had to mention that. But now there's like a path. I don't know if you can actually walk on it because I was only there for one day, unfortunately. But
Hmm.
yes, it's no longer an island, which is really cool.
So, sorry, I have like five different questions. Let me consolidate for a second.
I'll be
Consult with
quiet
God.
so you can.
No. It so you when you said that you give credit back to the publisher for including things like maps and the glossary and those sorts of things, I'm curious from that negotiation standpoint, like how much give they have versus how much give you have, and like that negotiation between the publisher and you. What do those conversations look like? Because I've honestly never been part of one.
So the British publisher, One World, they actually bought the book way before the American publisher did. So I
Mhm.
think the American publisher had less say in the editing of the actual manuscript itself. I think the editing was actually complete before, because let's see, I think One World got it in, I want to say April or May,
Mhm.
And then HarperCollins got it the end of the year, closer to the end of the year. So they'd had it for several months already. Hi, kitty cat. So, because I don't think the British version actually has all that extra stuff in. I think they have the map and that's it. I think that's the US edition only. I will have to check, but I'm pretty sure I was asked much later to do the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
But with the next one, they're going to get it at the same time, so it'll be more collaborative edit, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm really intrigued to get my copy of that because it comes out on the 28th of this month in the United States, correct?
Officially, yes.
Yeah.
They may or may not already have it at Barnes and Noble.
Oh.
Officially, it's out on the 28th, though. Yes.
On the 20th of January, to be clear for anybody listening.
January, yes.
Yes.
Well, I might just so happen to have a Barnes and Noble gift card that does need some use. So,
So sneak on over to Barnes and
nice.
Noble.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm really intrigued by the premise. I will be honest, I did not watch Outlander. I'm sorry,
It'll be nice
Emily.
and fresh for you then. Because people who haven't seen Outlander, they're like, what an original idea. And I'm like, okay.
I feel like I'm about to get assaulted by Emily's gaze right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. Did you see the lasers?
I
You
did.
haven't seen it. You haven't read it.
They were not the same lasers as the ones when I admitted on the air that I hadn't watched Lord of the Rings, which I have rectified for anyone that's new. Yes, I have watched all of the Lord
I'm
of the
watching
Rings
it currently with one of my friends as well, who's never seen it. And to be fair, he grew up in Brazil, where maybe it wasn't as big there. I was just like, sit your butt down. We're going to watch Lord of the Rings.
You are a good friend.
We're only halfway through the Two Towers. We need to watch the rest of it. Keep messaging me like, when are you free? Come over.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I do.
You need to see the Battle of Helm's Deep.
That's right.
Oh gosh.
With Gandalf coming over the ridge with the horses and the army.
Yep. On the morning of the 5th day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 3,000th time watching it, and I'm still like, yes, go. Kill those orcs. Oh, I need to watch it now, actually.
That's right. We're going to end the podcast right now so we can go watch it.
But truthfully, I am very interested in this, and so maybe at some point I will watch Outlander, and then I will say, Poppy did it better.
No, she's
okay.
No, it's different. It's just different.
It's different enough, I think.
Yeah,
definitely. It's like the premise is similar, and they both have like the Battle of Culloden and the Satsuma Rebellion quite similar too. But apart from that, it's really not. It's not like copy paste, change it to Japan sort of thing. Right. But I would also be lying if I was like, no, Outlander has nothing to do with it, because it was.
Right. Inspired by, yeah.
Inspired by, yes.
Yeah.
I was more so just trying to pump you up just a little bit.
Thank you. That's very kind. Very, very kind. No, I admire Diana Gabaldon very much.
There's room for all of it.
Yes.
Of course, exactly. Yeah. Like, people will like both. It's not one or the other, right? You have to choose. Exactly. That's the beauty of books. You can just, if you like this, you will also like this. We're not competitive.
You don't have to just have one. It's not like buying a car. You can have more than one book.
Yes.
Unless you're Jay Leno. Sorry.
What'd you say?
I said unless you're Jay Leno.
All right.
And you can buy lots of cars. He's just known for owning a lot of cars. Anyway, go. Sorry, Trey.
Good. So with this being book 1, may I ask, have you started writing book 2?
I've nearly finished it. It's actually due this month. So I'm just finishing it up now. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it yet, but it's... Yeah. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it yet, so I might have to for now.
We'll just have to wait and have you back sometime.
Oh, great. Thank you. That'd be great. Definitely.
Then we can talk about it freely.
Yes.
That'll be great. Yeah.
Do you mind if I also talk about some of your other works? Because I am interested in hearing about A Bard's Lament.
My little indie project. Yes, I actually love A Bard's Lament.
Well, as a music person, I studied music. I have my degrees in music, and so anything that is bardic related, I just went, okay, I'm gonna stop here and I'm just gonna take note of this.
Yeah, it's a short story. I think it's only about 20,000 words. So it's a short read. But it's about a bard who she puts codes in her music for spies. So the spies come to the tavern, they hear the music, they pick up the codes from her songs and help with the revolution.
It's such a great plot aspect to have. Like, I don't know the correct terminology, but I feel like that's intriguing right there. I want to read it just based on that alone. It's so cool.
Well, it's on Amazon. It's like independently published, that one. But yeah, that's one of the. Actually, I got music written for it as well and everything. I got really into it. Like
Oh,
not
neat.
even to sell, really, just for fun.
Yeah,
And 3 songs she wrote, and she did really well. It was lovely.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I
I might
love that.
rewrite it one day and make it novel length. Who knows? I published that in 2020. It's already 5 years, nearly 5 years old. That
And
story.
then put the music in the glossary pages so that when people can look back and find the music in the back.
Yes, that's a great idea. I could do that.
Do you know, I've always wanted this extension of like book talk to be like, or, you know, Bookstagram or any of these media. There's probably one for YouTube and all the others. But like have it be where these composers and these independent musicians do like, okay, this song is chapter 4 of this book. Play it while you're reading chapter 4. And then you like get even more immersive. I just think that would be so cool. And I am not necessarily a musician, so I realize I don't probably realize quite what I'm asking of people, but I just think that would be such a cool thing.
Well, people can get inspired to write a story based on a song. So
Yeah.
why not music writers getting inspired by a story? That probably have, right? That's how
Yeah.
Howard Shaw makes his money. he
Right.
makes music for movies. So who knows? Maybe there's something out there already like that, or there will
Maybe
be.
there
Like
is.
this piece of music was inspired by the battle in Caught in Thorns and Roses or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear
So
about
cool.
those because
Yeah,
then
me
I want to
too.
go read it with that music playing.
Yes, definitely.
I'm curious though, when you were writing the book, was there a particular piece of music that came to your mind or that you are kind of envisioning when certain scenes are playing?
You mean a Bard's Lament? Or a Gates
Um,
Flight?
really, any of your books?
Music? I wouldn't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I actually get inspired by music. I mean, I love music, but I've never heard a piece and been like, oh, I can see a scene that would go with this music. I don't think.
Okay. No, that's fair.
But I did get inspired. The main character of A Bard's Lament is based off this musician I really love called Maluka. She does a lot of video game music. She did the Dragonborn. Maybe
Okay.
you've heard of her. So
Yeah.
10 years ago, 12 years ago, she went viral because she uploaded her singing the Dragonborn. Dragonborn Comes, is that what it's called? From Skyrim.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Like you might have seen that video, but she's done loads since then. And
I know who
I'm a
you're
big
talking
fan of
about
hers.
now. Mm-hmm.
And I always loved her humble attitude, and I'm just like, I'm gonna write a book character based on her. And I did. And I told her as well, and she was like, oh, thank you. I think she actually read it too. She's lovely. So that can happen. Like inspired by people.
Sandra in our chat just said, Ramble On by Led Zeppelin is a song based on The Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
I
Blind
don't know
Guardian.
if I knew that.
Blind Guardian, one of their albums is just the Silmarillion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Nightfall. That's a great song.
We're going to have to go
It can happen.
listen to all of this.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
the
if
creativity
someone came
there.
out with like an album of Lord of the Rings or some of the other books that people love, like an album based on that, I think people would be into it. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't take off as much as I think it would, and people have tried and it just doesn't.
Well, you're the target audience for that. People like you.
Right.
Target audience.
I'm the target audience, everyone.
Hi, it's me. I'm the target audience.
Right.
You can send your demos for such works to info@themodrom.com.
That's right.
And then we will approve or deny, and all of them will be approved. Thank you.
Actually, if you are a musician out there or any kind of singer songwriter person and you do this, please contact us. We want to talk. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And if you want to do music based on Gate to Kagoshima, then please contact us and we'll put you in touch with Poppy. And
Yes, yes,
maybe
yes. That'd be
great,
amazing.
amazing things will come from it.
Oh, can you imagine? That'd be so cool. I'd be grateful forever.
Right? That would be so fun. Well, I want to know what tips you might have for somebody who is interested in getting into writing. Like if someone is, and maybe you already have this where people go, "Hey, what advice do you have for somebody who's just starting out?"
Just starting, like never written anything before.
Oh, maybe, or they
Mm.
dabbled, you know.
Write every day, but don't pressure yourself to write lots of words because even if you only do 100 words a day, that's still 700 words in a week.
Mm.
Because a lot of the time, I have friends who are like, "Oh, I'd love to write, but I just can't get motivated. I can't sit down and write thousands of words." I'm like, "Do you think I sit down and write thousands of words? I like 500 words at a time, blocks, tasks. It's like write 500 words of this, and then I can go and do something else, something not PC related." And then it's all build up. You do 100 words a day, that turns to 200, 500. That's why the ghostwriting was so useful because I had deadlines, so I had to do a couple of that. My record is 7,000 in one day because I had a deadline.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
so tired. Do not recommend. But I have friends who write 10K a day.
Wow.
It's insane. But they did that because they've been doing it for such a long time, right? Also, if you're going to write a book, just write the first draft and don't worry if it doesn't make sense or it's not good. Don't keep going back to chapter 1 and editing because otherwise you'll end up with three chapters that have been edited to death and no ending.
Mm.
And I did that a lot growing up because that's how most people start, but trying to just finish the messy first draft first. And once you've got the first draft, you can go back and edit and make it better. You can't edit a blank page, but you can edit a messy first draft.
That, ooh, I like that.
That's
Somebody clip
gold
that.
right there. Yeah.
I
I
don't think
feel
I don't think that's my quote. I think I read that somewhere, so I won't take credit for it. But it is a good quote.
right. Well, we've spoken to authors who have gone through this with their first works where they've gone through and edited and edit. Oh, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Imposter syndrome. How do I possibly show anybody this until I've edited it, 10 times? And yeah, I think you're right. Like that's at least getting it out there, and at least there's
No
some
one's going to read
beauty.
your first draft. No one is going to read it. I can't remember who it is, but an author said your first job is to write the first draft, and then the next job is to make it seem like you knew what you were doing the whole time. Something like that. It's more succinct than that, but it's just like, yes, because no one's going to see that terrible first draft. No one is going to see it because it's yours. You're not
Right.
going to write a first draft and then send it to someone. But once you have that first draft, you can be like, okay, the main character has red hair in chapter 2 and black hair in chapter 7. Got to fix that. And adding things. It happens. It happens in published books
Sure.
too. People have done that. I think even, well, I love Akatar. I never say anything bad about it, but I read a review that said the villain's hair color changed, but I didn't notice it, so I don't know if that's true. But it can slip through the cracks. Also,
Mm.
make an outline and make character lists with all their personalities and goals and fears and everything about them, because then you can use them to reference. Like, oh, what color were his eyes? Were they blue or green? Go to your character sheet.
Instead of going back and reading chapter 1 all the way through to find where you wrote it.
Exactly, because then you get into the trenches of editing chapter 1 again, and then you haven't made much progress.
I could see that. I could see it.
It's like you've been there. It's like you've lived through that.
No comment.
I think I want to call back to a conversation that we had with Felicia Day about also getting it out on the page. Because if it stays in your brain the whole time, then no one's ever going to read it at the same time. And there's a great book that, again, we want to reference back to that's called Embrace Your Weird, and has a lot of fantastic exercises that are out there. My favorite one is still on page 5, and it's still the draw the worst horse that you can. It's great. I won't spoil the after you get done completing that horse, but please pick up a copy. You really will not be disappointed. My question for you, Poppy, is you said how you would give advice to your 12-year-old self to like keep going and to that it will work out. I'm curious what advice you give to your 18-year-old self. Does the advice change?
Yeah, I wasn't writing much at 18 because I was going to university and working and stuff. So writing advice, or do you just mean life advice?
Both.
I'd say read more and start writing again early, because, and also the first few books you read, this is to me. It could be listeners, take it how you like, but this is to me in particular. It's like when you write a book, it's probably not going to be that good because it's your first book.
Mhm.
You have to write several. Like when you see people with their debuts coming out, that's probably not the first book they ever read, ever wrote, ever, right?
Mhm.
So don't worry about getting it perfect the first time because you're still learning. It might be the fifth one that's really good, or the sixth one. And just
That's
make
really
time for writing, I would say to myself, like my student self. I was playing a lot of video games, but I wasn't writing that much back then.
Well, you're still living experiences and you're still gaining
Yeah,
that
exactly.
knowledge.
Yes.
And I think that's true for pretty much any art form. If you look at painters or glass artists or costumers or anybody doing any art, the first few that anybody's done, even if they've put them out into the world, they're not as good as their 10th one or their 20th one. So just
That's the
getting it
beautiful
out there.
thing about it. You can always get better. And there's no age restriction on music and art and writing. You don't have to, it's not like an Olympic athlete where your career's over by 22 if you haven't made it. I know that's a very generalized thing to say, but you know what I
Right.
mean?
But we understand. Yeah.
Whereas writing, like Tolkien didn't start till he was 42, right? Writing Lord of the Rings. I mean, I know he had a busy
Oh,
life
right.
before that, but yeah, if you want to learn an instrument when you're 50, why not? Like,
It's
Yeah.
never too late.
if you want to start writing a book when you're 65, go for it. Like, can.
I think
Which is great.
I think the oldest person who graduated with their degree just because they wanted to have the degree was in their 80s, I want to say, and
Wow.
got it done.
Yeah.
So,
Let's go.
like, don't ever give up on your dreams. My other question, still related to you, is if you could sit down and have lunch with anybody in the world, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Right now it's Rebecca Ross because I'm obsessed with her. She's got a new book coming out that she's gonna I think it's today. Oh no, tomorrow morning your time. She's gonna announce a new book and I'm so excited. So it'd be her because I followed her since her debut, and I'm just like, senpai. Yes,
Awesome.
so it'd be her right now.
Yeah. One day that's a possible one.
I know if we get put on the same author panel, I'll actually like pass away from excitement. I'll just die on the spot.
If we ever have her on the show, we'll just invite you back.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Why not? How great is that? We'll just we haven't done that exactly, but like when we had Ming Tsai on, we brought Josh on the show back from
Yeah.
backstage and we had him out here because that was
awesome.
his I guess bucket list person.
Right.
So yeah. All right.
Well,
Sorry.
no, you're good. Well, Poppy, I've got to say that there is so much abounding optimism and so much just joy and excitement around this book coming out. I am so thankful for your time and sharing that with us today. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me too. I had a great time.
Thank you.
Really. One question before we do sign up. Would you be interested in coming back?
Yeah, of course.
That was good.
Love it.
Oh, and real quick before we get any further, you can find Poppy on Instagram. She's at KUROKIBOOKS, Kuroki Books, and also I found you on Goodreads, and so you can
Nice.
follow Poppy there as well. And I imagine you can see and purchase her books there and read them all. And definitely check out the Instagram because you can see that wonderful picture of you in the bookstore with the.
You know what pose to do? Like, take a picture of your book. You're like, it was a very panicked last minute. Like,
that was great though.
It
No,
turned
it's
out nice.
wonderful.
She took some nice photos that day. That was such a special day.
It's a pinnacle moment in your history.
Well, everybody, as we close this episode out, thank you so much for listening. We want to thank you so much for tuning in. You can find more information about us on our website at themodrom.com, and you can find behind the scenes content on Patreon. Check out our website for more information. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great evening. Bye, everybody.